Welcome back to the channel today, guys. Now, is it just me, or did this episode of NieR feel really short to you guys? I looked down at the timestamp when the episode ended, and I was thinking, like, there's no way it's been 21 to 23 minutes already. That's crazy. This episode flew by. But it also gave us a very different perspective on Machine Lifeforms, to the point where I don't know if we can really view them the same way after this episode today. They really kind of put it on its head about what a Machine Lifeform really is. And I gotta say, guys, I think NieR has been way better now that we're not, like, super focused on giant 3D-esque fights as we were in the first episode. Because I like this approach far more. The boots on the ground, let's go explore this world and see what the Machine Lifeforms are doing kind of setting. Far more than, oh, we're flying through the air, beating up giant machines and all that are 3D. I just think this approach is way better, and it's been far more enjoyable. These past episodes of NieR have been quite good, and today is no exception. So let's just get straight into it today and talk about NieR Automata Episode 3 today, because it was an interesting one, to say the least. Now, our episode begins with 2B and 9S making their way to the Resistance camp along with the Resistance, as they get told, man, you Yorha soldiers really are strong. Can you really see through those blindfolds? As 2B tells them, they're not blindfolds, they're special goggles. Don't make us look bad. But then asks them, anyways, why are maintenance androids on the front line? As 9S chimes in and says, I thought that was strange as well. That's not really an efficient allocation, is it? As they're told, it's something that they wished to do. And it's here we see that Lily has some history, to say the least, with the 2B model. Not necessarily this 2B, but with another 2B model. Clear as day, we can tell that. But it's here we transition to them at the entrance of the Resistance base. As 9S asks, what is this thing? And they tell him, one of our allies brought it here, but it's heavy and we have no other use for it. So it just sits out here and collects dust. There's rumors that it's part of a Goliath Machine Lifeform. But that's probably a lie. But it's here as the doors open, Lily tells them, welcome to the Resistance camp. And as we make it inside, it's as lively as you would expect, as we see that the Resistance is making their way one day at a time. And as they're walking around exploring, 9S says, so this is the Resistance camp, 2B, first things first. But she interrupts him and says, look, you don't need to add Miss to my name, okay? As 9S says, alright, understood, 2B. And 2B has a very complicated expression on her face right here, because you can just tell, like, how many times has she had to say this exact same line? How many times has she been in this exact same situation over and over already? It's kind of bittersweet when you really think about it. But it's here Lily interrupts and says, you two from Yorha, can I have a moment with you? And it's here she says, alright, look, I'm sorry for pointing my gun at you earlier. My name's Lily. I round up the android resistance in this area. First of all, let me say thanks for helping us out. As 2B tells her, helping the resistance is one of our missions. There's no need to thank us. As 9S introduces the both of them to her as well. And again, Lily clearly has history with at least a 2B model, because she's just staring directly at 2B, to the point where she has to say, what, to her. And 9S asks, oh, do you know her from somewhere? And Lily tells them, no, which is clearly a lie. But it's here we get the introduction of a very interesting character. Every show has one. As we just hear. I heard you got assaulted, leader. I'm glad you're okay. By the way, I heard someone sent another rescue signal to the Council of Humanity. They sure keep doing useless things, huh? But I also have a report to give you. As Lily says, oh, jackass, let me introduce you to these two. These are Yorha soldiers 2B and 9S, in reply to the assistance request from the Council of Humanity. As she just gets in their face and says, so you guys are Yorha soldiers, huh? Wild. But it's here we get a little more context on why exactly they're there, and how it's not exactly for a good reason as we transition to the space station and we hear, I didn't send 2B and 9S down in reply to the assistance request. We Yorha soldiers are directly under the Council of Humanity. If we kept responding to each and every assistance request from the Resistance, it would hinder our operations. As the commander continues and says, the Resistance is fighting Machine Lifeforms individually to begin with. They don't have a clear chain of command as a whole. The behavior of the Machine Lifeforms has been strange lately, though. On top of that, we lost comms with the liaison assigned to the area 2B and 9S are in now. Reconnaissance has the danger of virus infection, and in those cases, if there are decoys like the Resistance, they can buy us some time. We are fighting for the sake of mankind. It's a little messed up though, because she basically said, yeah, we're using them as decoys, we're using them as a shield to protect us as we go and investigate this area. Basically throwing them under the bus and using them. It's a dog-eat-dog world, I suppose. But it's here we transition back to the Resistance as we hear Jackass's report. As she says, there are multiple sightings of a vicious machine lifeform in the ruins area of the desert. It's a phenomenon that hasn't happened in the past, so something might be going on. As 9S says, Miss Lily, we were also assigned to investigate that same thing. If you don't mind, can you trust us with it? As Jackass says, that's fine, ain't it? If the state-of-the-art Yorha soldiers want to do the recon, that would certainly help us out, too. But Lily doesn't seem to like that idea very much, as 9S says, we're fine with that idea, but... As Lily eventually lets up and says, fine, just be careful. As Jackass says, alright, that settles it, and so, let's take care of each other. And as they all head out, we just hear Lily mumble to herself, Yorha, huh? And it's here we get a scene of her walking over to a very differently animated jukebox from herself. Kind of out of place. As she says, everyone, I'm still fighting. Now, it's clear as day, Lily has gone through some stuff. She's gone through some tragedies in her past, and I'd kind of like to understand why this is. You guys let me know in the comments. Was Lily in the games? Was she a character that was in the games, or was she introduced in this show only? Let me know down below, because I want to know a little bit more about her, because they're clearly setting something up. And it's here we transition to 2B, 9S, and Jackass making their way to the desert area as Jackass says, oh, there it is. We have to open the sealed entrance first. As 9S says, okay, but why are we so far away from it? As Jackass blows the doors open and says, it'd be too dangerous if we get caught up in that. I gotta say, I like her entrance method. I like it a lot. As she says, now, we'll speed up a bit from here. She barrels her way in there, knocking 9S off his feet, and leaving the pods behind! Not the pods! And after collecting the pods again, which 2B is literally petting, Jackass tells them, lately, there have been units among the machine lifeforms that speak. Our leader was saying it was getting a bit hard to deal with, I can imagine. As 9S says, machines without souls are simply pretending to be androids. As Jackass adds, on top of that, the enemies are making remarkable evolution. You saved us by coming in to assist. But it's here 9S decides to tell her the truth flat out and says, I'm sorry. We didn't come here to assist you guys. But all of a sudden, they detect machine lifeforms as Jackass makes an invasive maneuver and 3 machines pop out of the ground. Followed by an even bigger machine lifeform who, like Jackass said, can speak. And we see that it's actually saying, help me, as it's fighting them. As 9S says, I'll weaken that big one by hacking in. Meanwhile, you handle the others, as 9S hacks into the big one, and as he's doing that, he says, you cry out for help as you attack. You're a machine, after all. You're simply uttering words in random order. And I gotta say, I don't know about that, to be honest. I don't know. But he continues and says, the protection level isn't all too different from the others. I think I can make something of this fairly quickly. But it's here, as he dives deeper, he stumbles upon a door. And upon entering the door, he's greeted with a very interesting sight, as he apparently finds a civilization of machine life forms living amongst themselves. As he says, what is this data? And it's here he runs into the machine that he was just fighting on the outside, but far less hostile, until it sees him, and then it attacks him. As 9S cuts its data in half. And as we transition back to the real world, we see that the robot is crumbling and falling apart, as 2B cuts it down and explodes it. But 9S is standing there like, what was that just now? What did I just see? As he thinks to himself, machine life forms are... But then says, no, they're just placing data in random order, nothing more. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that certainly didn't look like they were just pretending there. That looked like genuine emotion. So I'm very curious about that scene, and I hope we dive into that more soon. But it's here Jackass says, marvelous! I expect nothing less from Yorha soldiers. Thanks to you, I gained great data. Thank you kindly. But it's here she lets the facade drop a bit as she says, about our chat earlier. If you didn't come here for assistance, and investigating this spot was your main focus, then you thought the resistance could be nothing more than a shield, right? As 9S says, that's not necessarily true, but Jackass says, well, I'll keep that a secret from Lily and the gang. As they ask her why, and she tells them, even the resistance needs something called hope. And on a desolate planet like this, I can imagine hope is very hard to come by. But it's here we see two machine lifeforms jump out of the sand and attack them. But upon realizing that all their brethren had been destroyed, they actually flee, as Jackass says, hold on, that thing just now, a machine lifeform fled from an enemy. Is that even possible? As the anime gives us a nice view of her, Jackass. And it's here as they continue walking, the pods tell us that they've stumbled upon ruins of an area formerly used as residences for humans. Humans intentionally gathered in large numbers to live together in these structures. As 9S says, man, humans were sure strange, huh? That we are, 9S. That we are. And it's here as they're walking and exploring, they stumble upon android corpses. And it's here as they stumble upon a mostly intact android, they say, this was the previously assigned liaison, but how'd they end up here? And it's here as Jackass calls out to them, they stumble upon another machine life form, but this one's a little bit different. As 9S says, I've never seen one like this before. And as they go deeper and deeper into the ruined city, they stumble upon this pile of machine life forms that have kind of congealed together. As 9S says, there's no enemy signals. Could this be a graveyard for machine life forms? But it's here all of a sudden that the ground starts shaking as one of the pods says, powerful intermittent signal detected from underground. As all of a sudden a powerful sinkhole forms and 2B and 9S are swept in it as Jackass is able to attach herself and save herself. And as they're falling down as the pods save them, 9S says, look 2B, this pillar is made from machine life forms. As the pods tell them, information about current location cannot be confirmed with past records. And as they continue searching deeper and deeper within this cavern, they stumble upon the robots that we saw at the end of our last episode. And let me just say, we can officially say that we've had robot sex on the channel, because these robots are getting down. As 9S has to tell himself again, like, they have no souls. They are simply mimicking human language. Let's destroy them. But it's here they all start freaking out and going crazy. As all of a sudden, it appears like thousands of them come out of nowhere and climb up on these stacks and form together into this cocoon that we saw previously. As the cocoon opens up and spills out what appears to be an android. And as its body forms and transforms, It looks exactly like an android, like 2B and 9S. As 9S says, 2B, that guy's evolving. Let's settle the score quickly. As they both start fighting, 2B has Pod shoot it as 9S gets behind it and stabs him in the back. As we see 2B stab him from the front, and he drops right then and there. As 2B asks, is this a machine life form? And it's here. Something truly strange happens. All of a sudden, we see a hand just reach out from inside of the machine life form as we see another one forms right then and there. And this one seems far stronger than the first one. As we see 2B try to cut him down, but he vanishes all of a sudden. As he appears above them and coats himself in energy, I guess, and dive bombs them as 9S tackles 2B to get her out of the way of the explosion. As he says, going any further is dangerous, let's retreat. And as we see the debris crumbling around them, the machine life form stares us down, the viewers, and our episode ends. And this was an extremely interesting development for me. Really redefining what does it mean to be alive, because the machine life forms evolved and became a higher being by the looks of it. It looks like they transcended and became an android somehow, which is actually kind of terrifying. That is pretty terrifying, I have to admit. But it's also very interesting. Like, how did this happen? Is it kind of like a hive mind thing where they all congealed together and formed technically two beings? I don't know. But I really want to know as we progress in the show, because this is really interesting, actually. I can only imagine the game does it way, way better, but I'm into it now. I want to know what happens next. So you guys let me know what you thought of the episode down below, because it was kind of wild. But until next time, guys, until we see what happens then, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And deuces, have a blessed day. And I'm really looking forward to the next episode now. I gotta be honest. But I will see you guys then. Deuces.